What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Welcome into the Get in the Hole podcast. Steve McAvoy here with you on a magnificent Monday evening. To you and yours here in the Underground, thank you for joining us wherever you may be and however you are listening. Be sure to like, sub, 5-star review. You know the whole spiel. Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Listen to Get in the Hole. And, of course, on YouTube. Where else but YouTube? Get us to those illustrious marks. We are at, 250 subs right now. Something pretty damn good. But 4,000 hours is a little bit ridiculous. Shout out to YouTube. But, we're going to get there. So give us a listen. Literally put it on in the background while you golf. You can hear Ben give, Zen music recommendations while you're at it. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at Get in the Hole Pod. On Facebook, just search Get in the Hole. And, of course, the Underground Sports Philadelphia Network on Twitter and Instagram at Underground PHI. And on Facebook and Twitch, type in those URLs, / it with Underground Sports PHI. Ben, back on the show. You can follow me and Ben, of course, at Steve McAvoy _ and Ben at BC Pirro. Ben, welcome back into another show. It's a little different scenery for me. Just moved into an apartment as of Sunday. Was not ready to do a podcast. As you know, I was shopping with the missus as she's currently putting away stuff. Said, babe, say hi to the program. She says hi. I'm not sure if you could hear her. Ben, how are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm ready to get this show rocking and rolling. I'm ready to make fun of some Steven's picks from last week. Let's get it going, because then I got to get dinner because I haven't eaten dinner yet. So
not for nothing. I did say Denny McCarthy was going to play really well, and he was good for about three rounds.
Blah, 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 blah.
I must say, I think between Denny McCarthy and JJ Spawn are basically they're like the mold of what Greg Norman should pitch to PGA Tour golfers. I think the number for Spawn, I have it here. He started his 7th hole on Sunday at 13 under. He was tied for 3rd. It was him, it was Zalatoris, and it was Lucas Glover. He played his final 12 holes in 8 over. He finished 5 under. If he played just par golf, he would have finished solo 3rd and made $900,000. Instead, he finished T42 and won only $55,000. So, literally, if he was on live, he would have made more for coming in dead last. So it wouldn't have even mattered for him. So I think Greg Norman's going to start pitching the Spawn and Denny McCarthy Sundays is hey, this is why you should come join live. Anyways, breaking news on the PGA Tour as we start today's wonderful show. We have the BMW preview, of course, the FedEx St. Jude recap. But we got to start off with Cameron Smith, the Open champion, the world champion of golf in 2022, has withdrawn from the Bmw Championship due to hip discomfort. He's currently 3rd in the FedEx Cup standings. What do we make of this? What's going to happen now? If all things go, sour in this case, he might fall out of the top 5, which would be a pretty staggering change considering, 4 or 5 strokes on the aggregate at East Lake. How big could this withdrawal be for Cam Smith?
I think it could be a big deal. But he's one of the hottest golfers on the planet right now. So if anybody can overcome it, especially with how mentally tough he is, I could definitely see him overcoming it. That being said, hip discomfort as a professional athlete, regardless of what sport you play, is always a very serious injury. So you always, people always assume the worst with injuries for professional athletes. When generally that's not always the case. This could very well be a precautionary reason that he is sitting out. So I wouldn't read too far into it. I'm sure he'll be just fine for East Lake. And even if he is outside the top 5, it's still very doable for him to win the FedEx Cup, even if he's outside the top 5.
To tell me, because honestly, I'm a bogey to double bogey golfer. As somebody who is a professional and is trying to make his way into the ranks in terms of the actual pro game, right? The odds of you being down, 5 strokes, it really isn't as big a deficit as we make it out to be.
No,
especially very early on when, granted you're down in Atlanta. It hasn't rained there in a month. The ball's going to be bouncing pretty damn far. Cam Smith is, I believe right now he's number 1 in strokes gain putting over the last like six rounds of golf. I'm sorry, 6 events that he's played. Because clearly something works for him. Although it would have been a really good help this week, being that the BMW is a putter's paradise for the most part. We saw last year, not at this golf course, but Cantlay and DeChambeau went 27 under to go to the playoff. You very well might see the same kind of style. There's very very big similarities to what happened in Maryland as opposed to what's going to happen in Wilmington. So it would have certainly helped him. But 5 strokes really isn't anything crazy. So I think Cam Smith should be pretty fine, so long as he can, unless for some reason something like absolutely insane happens and he falls to like 10th, which I don't think would happen, but he's only separated by the 4th best player, I think Sam Burns, by about 500 points. So if Sam Burns comes out, gets a big win, you're already going to jump back. And then what could happen with JT and Morikawa and John Rahm and even Rory McIlroy, 5 guys who are, as of right now, set to absolutely dominate this golf course.
Yeah, you raise a very valid point. 5 strokes in this format, it might seem like a lot, but that's 5 strokes over 4 days. Exactly. So that really averages out to 1.25 shots.
Yeah.
I mean, the last ever amateur tournament I won before turning pro, I entered the day 1 back. And the final round 1 shot back. And after the first hole, I was leading. So it can change just like that. This is really nothing to be too concerned about. I really do not believe this is anything to be concerned about at all. This is most likely, I would assume, for precautionary reasons, especially because he doesn't really need the event anyway. It's not like he's like 66th on the in the FedEx Cup and needing a good win to keep his season going. He'll be fine. He's gonna have as good of a chance to win as anybody, not just the Tour Championship, but the FedEx Cup in general. Come next Thursday.
There is a small handful of guys that we might be worrying about. We're going to get to that in about 20 minutes. So we got to start the day recapping the FedEx St. Jude and what the fuck happened with Will Zalatoris' ball. How, knowing my luck, I've seen some crazy stuff on a golf course. If my ball was to bounce 8 times on a cobblestone, I guess like border, I guess you can call it, like to the water.
Yeah.
First of all, it would never survive even 1 bounce, let alone 8. Like what happened there? And take from the pro standpoint, walk me through how Will Zalatoris manages to get his first win in the most dramatic of fashions, beating out the field that he was at. Also down going into the weekend, down 3 or 4 strokes. And obviously Will isn't necessarily known for his putter. We saw on 17, he made a clutch par putt to almost force the playoff against Sepp Straka. And you hear him yell, "What are they going to say now?" Because obviously we've been giving him shit for months. 120th ranked putter on the planet, lost to Luke List in the playoffs, couldn't get it done in the majors. Something's working now. What happened this weekend with Will Zalatoris?
Well, look, I mean, it's his first win on the PGA Tour, and what people need to understand, it's incredibly difficult to win any golf tournament, regardless of if it's a one-day mini tour event, amateur tournament, junior tournament, PGA Tour event, European Tour event. It really doesn't matter. They're always very difficult to win. And you could tell a lot of what the naysayers, I mean, I've even said his putting is not good. Let's just call it how it is. I mean, he's currently, I'm looking at it right now, he's 103rd in strokes gained putting. That's definitely a concern for someone's consistency outlook, because your ball striking can only get you so far. I mean, let's be honest, most major championships are remembered by great putts, whether it's or great chips or whatever. But mainly it's the 1986 Masters when Jack Nicklaus when he made that long putt on 17. That's what that tournament is remembered by. When Phil won his first Masters, it was the putt on 18. That's what that tournament's remembered by. It's very rare that you see a golfer win a tournament purely because of ball striking. And to be honest, the last golfer I can remember doing that was Jason Duffner at the 2013 PGA Championship in Rochester, New York. I mean, you just had to hold your breath when he was putting. Let's call it how it is. But he clearly has been fueled by the doubt and the negativity surrounding his stroke. And I think that that's one of the most powerful things you can give a professional athlete or professional in any sport is by talking trash to them, because in his mind, he's like, well, what do these idiots know? You know, like they don't know what I'm working on. They don't know how difficult this is. Like, and that's one of the most gratifying feelings as well when you do prove people wrong.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I could speak to my own personal experiences with that as well. Proving somebody wrong that may have doubted me or told me I should be doing something else rather than playing golf. So I thought it was an incredible moment. Regardless of if you're a fan of golf or not, like that's the stuff you love to see as a fan, from a fan perspective. He had a good enough week putting. I wouldn't say it was a really good week, because I would say it was an above average putting week for sure. And he made some really important putts. I still don't love his stroke, even though it does look smoother, but you can't help but feel good for a guy who's had to deal with so much negativity and so many naysayers when it comes to that part of his game. Oh no. Can you hear me? We're just gonna have to cut this out, this whole thing. Whoa, those look so good. Oh man. This is unbelievable.
The right fielder, number 99.
Logic was in the crowd.
All right. And I don't know what the hell just happened, but I guess my Wi-Fi just totally cut out. I apologize to everybody. Ben's probably going to just shit on me even more today, which I wasn't really planning on. I think it's funny because moving into this new apartment, I'm literally right next to the router. I didn't think this would happen, and usually the Wi-Fi at home is terrible. I was hoping for this to be a little bit better, but here we are. I'm sorry.
We should just can we edit the part where I'm just sitting there waiting for you? Can we edit all that out?
No, we will. I think what we might do is make a video of it. I think that'll be probably the best thing to do.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I might have said, I don't know. I might have said
anyway, so you were on a roll. You mentioned Will Zalatoris and how bad his putter was, and how you really can't ball strike your way to a win. And obviously, the whole entire year, he hasn't been able to get his win largely because he's tried ball striking. Ball striking is right there. I saw a number just now from CBS. He only gained about 2 strokes.
2.5.
Yeah, 2.5 strokes for the weekend, which is 30th among all guys. Even guys like Spawn, despite the horrible approach play on Sunday, was averaging 5.
Yep.
So it kind of goes to show you just how it's not even there. But the question now is he able, with the potential now of going to East Lake, which he's guaranteed now, will be a top 3 player? Will either the aggregate hold him up to possibly help him win, or B, does he even really have a shot with how good the rest of the putters are going to be in this field?
I think he does have a chance because he's such a good ball striker. That will always keep him in tournaments as long as he's swinging well. I just am. You have to be cautious because of his putting. I'm not saying that he can't win if he's, several shots back because of the aggregate. I'm not saying he can't win if he does end up being several shots back because of the aggregate.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to understand that he needs to putt well. If he's not gonna putt well, he's not going to win. That's just how it is. You cannot win a professional golf tournament if you don't putt well. It's plain and simple.
Especially on a golf course like East Lake, where we've seen in the past, the reason why Patrick Cantlay won was going into the week, he gained 15 strokes on the green at the Bmw and managed to basically wipe the field out. Yeah. And John Rahm simply couldn't make his par putts. It's a par golf course at East Lake. It's no slouch. There's a reason why it's the golf course of the year to finish on. So we'll have to see it. We'll see next week what really the field shakes out to be. But two guys who will be joining him in the field, hopefully, as we mentioned, Cam Smith, but also Scottie Scheffler, who missed the cut at the FedEx St. Jude, despite you saying he was going to win. Boom, there's my backlash at you for that one. Mm. But a little interesting moment. I want to get your take here. Again, from the pros' perspective, Scottie Scheffler walking in front of Cameron Smith's line basically said, yeah, I did it. A lot of guys are thinking it's because of the live rumors. What are we thinking about the little unsportsmanlike conduct by Scottie this week?
Wait, so did he actually say that he did do it on purpose?
Yes.
Okay.
He openly admitted he was like, well, he said, I didn't realize he was like lining up to view his putt. Mm. He thought he was just putting down his ball marker. So I don't know how true that was.
I don't believe that for a second. Look, I mean, you saw the look on his face. He clearly wasn't happy when he was walking around Cam Smith. And Cam Smith gave him like a WTF kind of look. Look, it's a bad look. It's plain and simple. That's a terrible look, especially because, you're like one of the poster boys for the PGA Tour. You're one of the faces that they market to the public now because a lot of the marketable figures have gone to live. And it's a terrible look for not only Scottie Scheffler, but it's also a really bad look for the PGA Tour. I mean, I've had plenty of guys that have done that to me, and I've definitely had choice words for them when it does happen. First time it happens, it's like, hey, dude, don't step right there, But, you do get the bozos that either are completely oblivious or just do it to be difficult. And, sometimes you have to let them know, like, hey, that's BS. You can't do that. And if it is because live, that's a pretty shallow move by Scottie Scheffler. It's something I expect more from a superstar like he is. He is the Masters champion. It's just a bad look, and there's no way around it. And Cam Smith, Cam Smith's look said it all. He didn't have to say anything.
Yeah.
His look said it all. So no one's, oblivious to what the intent was there, what the reason was. So, yeah.
Credit to Cam Smith because so they're paired up again on Friday, and Cam kind of blew it off. He was like, yeah, Scottie wasn't playing too well. There he was frustrated. He kind of blew it off. Scottie was kind of the quote wasn't basically that he admitted to doing it. It was more so like, oh yeah, I was frustrated and I did it on accident. Mm. It was very clearly I think it might have been a bit of a push, but at the same time, they are pretty friendly. He gave him the look. Maybe it was just something innocent. But I do agree with you. I think the bigger picture here is that for the two guys who happen to be in the literal MVP race on the PGA Tour, you're looking at a pretty sticky situation, especially for someone who, like you had said, has 4 wins this year, has come out of the woodwork and has won some of the biggest events of the year against the guy who probably won two of the 5 biggest events of the year in the Players and the Open. Yep. Is it jealousy or is it a little bit of like a friendly match? I don't really know what it is. But I do agree. I think it was a very bad look on Scottie's part. You're a pro golfer. You've been doing this since you were 7 years old. I think you know better. My 17-year-old brother was just like literally just getting into golf. He walks on my line, whatever. I get it. Like I understand. You do it early on in your career as a kid. There's a fine line. When you're 20, 25, I expect you to be a little bit better than that. But it'll certainly be interesting to see what happens in the future. Hopefully, Cameron Smith is able to play at East Lake. Hopefully, this hip discomfort isn't a problem, and maybe we'll see another interesting pairing from the two of them. TPC Southwind gave us a lot of ups and downs, a lot of surprises, a lot of very odd names top of the leaderboard on Sunday. Biggest surprises, guys who you were surprised missed the cut, guys who you were surprised were so deep into it on Sunday. Give me some guys.
So I have one guy in particular, but then after that, it was more like I don't know if trend is the right word, but I'll just get right into it. So Lucas Glover finished tied for third.
Yep, that's
he went from 121st to 34th in the FedEx Cup. That's pretty impressive. He's had a pretty nondescript year. Someone who's not known for being a good putter, but an amazing ball striker. I got to watch him win the U.S. Open at Bethpage Black. He's an incredible ball striker. So, hey, good for him. Going from a pretty average to below average year to being 4 spots away from making it to East Lake. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
You want to talk average year? He had one top 10 the entire year and still managed to just kind of fly in. He missed, I think 13 cuts this year. And in comparison, Harry Higgs had triple his top 20s, missed 16 cuts, and now lost his tour card. So to sit like he basically slid in skin of his teeth. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it was because of some of those live exemptions that he managed to get in.
It might have been.
But like watching his back nine on Sunday, I was at my girlfriend's friend's apartment, and they have a golf channel, and I'm watching Lucas Glover. I'm like, what the hell's going on with this guy? He had a beautiful approach shot, the par 5, I think 14th, hit it to about 6 feet of the pin, barely missed the eagle putt. But that was the putt that moved him from like 70th to 30th. He had one little hiccup later on in the round, but like an absolute incredible showing from Lucas Glover. I'll let you get into your guys. I wanted to just give a shout out to one guy who the entire year has kind of been like flip-flopping on the line of either shows signs of really like of greatness, and then just for some reason kind of like flops, and he's nowhere near where he's been the entire year. Brian Harmon was impeccable. I love picking on Brian Harmon because he looks like Murr a little bit from Red Old Jokers.
Yep.
And kind of like he's kind of like easy to meme because he's like the poor man's lefty almost. But God, what a week for him, and also Trey Mullinax, a guy who I said I think 2 weeks ago was a PGA Tour like up and comer. People knew him out of college. Kind of got lost on the Corn Ferry Tour. Was out of golf for a couple of years. Came back and is now fighting. 2 guys finished top 5. Definitely moved up a few spots to get into the BMW. Mullinax more than Harmon, but 2 guys who played incredibly well. Give me those guys who are trending in the wrong direction that you saw.
Well, definitely Scottie Scheffler, who was my pick.
Evidently.
Really did not expect that to happen, missing the cut by 1. It was only a missed cut by 1. But yeah, that's definitely not something I expected to see out of him. Just an interesting, this isn't a specific player, but only one player starting the week in the top 10 of the FedEx Cup finished in the top 10 of the actual FedEx St. Jude Classic.
Why am I drawing a blank? Was it Cam Smith?
No, it's Tony Finau.
Tony, the hottest golfer in the world. Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. So, yeah. Well, like looking at it now, I'm surprised. Jeez.
Right,
dude. What is this now? This is like 16 rounds in the 60s. Something ridiculous.
Maybe. I have no idea. I haven't kept up with that.
I'm pretty sure in his last like 4 to 5 events, he's shot in the 60s every time. I think he's like teetering on 20 at this point. He's been phenomenal, like ridiculous. And like we're gonna talk more Tony in a bit because it's very clear when you look at the top players right now that no one's hotter than Tony. And the one thing you can carry into a run at East Lake is if you're hot and you're rolling, we've seen it the last probably 4 or 5 years. The guys who win at least one playoff event or have multiple wins coming into the playoffs and continue to hit those top 10 numbers. Saw it with Schauffele, saw it with Cantlay last year. You tend to get pretty damn close, and there's a reason why, as of right now at East Lake, according to some sports books, he's second, third, if not sometimes first with the Cam Smith news. So Tony Finau on absolute fire. Final thing before you cut the break here, because we had a bit of a hiccup. Your bold prediction was Rickie Fowler winning the Tour Championship. I want to hint on that for a hot second. You gave me a lot of crap last week. I feel like it's kind of necessary that I give the bulk of it here.
Did you say that he was going? That I said he was going to win the Tour Championship?
Sorry, make the Tour Championship.
Better. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, hold on. It's still a far off. To his credit, he played pretty well. Like for what he's done the entire year or the year 2 years, even to go 4 under at Southwind, of course, that he isn't traditionally very strong at. At the very least, good for him. But I kind of want to give you a little bit of pushback on that Rickie Fowler make it all the way sort of thing.
That's fine. That's fine. You can give me pushback. I mean, what do I know? He was 7 under par. He was 7 under par going into hole 18 of the third round. Then he made he made a 9. I mean, what do I know? He was tied for 25th.
The exchange, by the way, between Rickie and JT that day was hilarious.
Well,
did you hear about it?
No, I did not. I did not see that. But all I'm saying is, I mean, what do I know? I mean, if he makes par there, the winner ended up being 15 under in a playoff. I mean, he could go out, shoot 62 and potentially be in a playoff. But what do I know? I mean, he had one bad hole. Whoop-de-doo.
I'm being an ass. Let's be honest.
Ricky. It's okay. I have some ammo for you after. Don't you worry.
Oh, I'm horribly excited for it. So JT and Rickie were in the same pairing, and JT said, "Oh wow, why didn't you make 8?" Oh, so sorry. So he made 9, obviously on 18. He goes, "Hey, how'd that happen?" And Rickie goes, "Well, my putt for 8 missed." Like
good one.
Dumb little joke. Anyways,
haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, right. We're taking a short break. We're going to come back. We're going to discuss everything about the Bmw Championship. We have a lot of stuff to break down. Also, going to take a look at those top 5 players currently in the FedEx Cup standings. Some guys who are coming at their throat for East Lake. We'll see who's legit, who's a faker. We'll figure it all out right here on Get in the Hole. Welcome back in the Get in the Hole podcast. Ben Pirro, Steve McAvoy. We are here with you on a magnificent Monday in the world of golf. The BMW Championship in Wilmington, Delaware. The first time Delaware has ever gotten a pro PGA Tour event. Something very interesting. A little fun fact: we're going to Wilmington Country Club, the South Course, this week. The BMW Championship, the semifinal leg of East Lake, the top 30 advance, and the rest will go home. Let's take a look at who is in the field this week, who's in, who's out. Ben, some names who missed that we're going to miss a lot. Who are some guys that missed out on their shot in Memphis to make it to Delaware?
Well, I mean, one of my picks to move up was also Justin Rose, and he ended up, I think he finished last or close to last. Pretty surprising, but I think he's been on kind of like the down. He's been a little bit of a downturn. He's later in his career. Rickie Fowler, obviously, he won't be making it. And then 2 people that you thought very highly of going into this event that I just was like, I really don't understand. And I might have said, oh, I agree with it, but I really didn't. Jonathan Vegas and Calum Taran. I had never heard of Calum Taran before in my life. And you picked him to have a good week. And same with Jonathan Vegas. So right here, my notes literally say Jonathan Vegas, arrow, Calum Taran, arrow, parentheses, Rose Steven. He was high on them. So I'm just going to leave that there and just point and make fun of you. So, ha.
I mean, honestly, like Phil Ferreira was a very dumb pick of mine. I will be the first one to admit that.
It was.
Um, should I have gone a little bit smarter? Yeah, but at the end of the day, I was doing it more so for the idea of, hey, let's find some hole in the wall guys that we can just throw a dart at and hope to God it works. I'm still going to take to the bank that Denny McCarthy was on fire for 3 days. That's probably my best prediction of the week outside of
Hey, if he wants to be on fire for 3 days, he should go to live.
honestly, yeah. At this point, maybe Jonathan Vegas wants to go to live after his.
I mean, the PGA Tour does not really need Jonathan Vegas. I'm sorry, no one's going to watch Jonathan Vegas. So
Guys who didn't perform very well at Southwind, we're probably going to miss them a lot. Bo Hostler, I've been very impressed with his game lately. Unfortunately, didn't have enough. He finished in the mid 80s. Daniel Berger will in fact miss out on the playoff. He did not make it. He's been battling a long-standing injury with I believe it was it's like somewhere in his torso. His wrists too have been kind of lingering a little bit. He'll miss out on his first FedEx Cup semifinal in his entire career, which is very interesting. Of course, Ricky Fowler as well. But Joel Damon, another guy, finished 92nd in the playoff. One of the more bigger personalities on the PGA Tour. He's always somebody who tends to have some fun, especially if he happens to get into a pairing with Max Homa. They're all out. Gary Woodland, we had said, just missed it. He was 79th, and just sneaking in is Mark Leitchman at 70th. He finished with literally like 5 points to spare from the week in order to make it to the BMW Championship. Let's break down the course a little bit. Wilmington Country Club, like we had said, it's a very different style golf course that we've seen for this event. We tend to see a lot of those like Bombers Paradises. This is actually, it's like a larger version of that in terms of you need to be a lot more accurate. You'll certainly be able to bomb it pretty damn far. It's a very wide open golf course, but the rough is quite thick. It's course confidential time here for Wilmington Country Club. Ben, break it all down for us.
okay, so as per usual, these facts or statistics are from 5 Things to Know, Wilmington Country Club by Jeff Eisenband of PGAtour.com. The course was first opened in 1901, and this is actually the first pro event that it is hosting. It's originally a Robert Trent Jones design. And so there have been several times, because it's such an old course, there have been several renovations to the golf course. Now, remember, there is the North and the South course, so it's a 36-hole venue, even though the tour is only playing the South course. Recently, Keith Foster in 2008, and then Andrew Green in 2020. So just a little bit of backstory because this is, I found this very interesting because the PGA Tour has never been to this course. And so I thought it was I think it's very interesting to note that a tornado actually brought down 300 trees and destroyed every bunker on both the North and South courses back in 2020. They basically are responsible in 2020 for, quote, 250,000 square feet of construction since then, end quote. The course has now been lengthened to over 7,500 yards. That's 7,500 yards. It's a par 71. So for those of you that don't know, when you have a par 72, that generally means you have 4 par 3s and 4 par 5s normally. Anything that's less than par 72 actually usually plays longer than what the scorecard indicates because you don't have a par 5, because you're missing a par 5, which is what they're missing. So it's actually going to play most likely longer. It's all bent grass, except for obviously the fescue grass, which is very prominent in the Northeast and northern regions of the U.S. And a very interesting quote from Michael Shank, who is the PGA Director of Golf at Wilmington. Quote, "The South Course presents challenging tee shots with fairway bunkers guarding the landing zones, very large putting surfaces divided into multiple sections, and flash-faced bunkers," end quote. So it's a type of course where You have to be very accurate off the tee because it's so well bunkered.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be, although the greens are so large, they have twists, they have a lot of undulation. There are tiers to each green, it sounds like. So you have to be very accurate going into the green so that you're putting from the proper quadrant, and you have to be a good lag putter in the event that you are, say, in the wrong quadrant of the green. I found this very interesting as well. They're not playing the South course with how it's ordered on the actual scorecard. They're mixing and matching holes essentially, so they're changing the order in which the holes are played. The last 4 holes could very well decide the tournament due to how much placement is involved. And also, I believe it's 16. Number 15 is a long par 3. It's about 234, I believe they said. 16 could potentially be drivable. That's pretty interesting coming down the stretch. And then 17, 18 are just long holes where you need good tee shots.
That's it. That's all we got.
That's what I got.
I love it. So keys to winning here, as you've already broken down. There's one guy who immediately comes to mind. He's going to be he'll be my guy in the beer money plays. I'm not going to be spoiling this, but clearly driving accuracy is key. Mm-hmm. Would you say what's going to be more important here? Is it going to be the approach play or your ability to find proximity to the hole? Being that obviously the approach play is just to simply get it on the green and find your way for a birdie. Mm-hmm. But proximity, we had said this last week, how the average player is roughly like 25 feet to the hole for the birdie putt. How important is it going to be to find that like proper quadrant? And the practice rounds are really going to kind of be the pivotal point here. Do we find that the putting is going to be even more important than the driving accuracy, or the ball striking? What's going to be the most important thing to win this golf course?
Well, so here's the thing: driving accuracy will always outweigh putting as far as performance and importance. So, have you ever had maybe you have? No offense, but have you
Probably not?
But have you ever had a penalty because of a putt that you hit?
No.
Have you ever had a penalty because of a drive that you've hit?
Far too many to count.
Same here. That's why driving the ball is so important, because there's so many different factors that go into driving the golf ball. And with the course being 7,500 yards, a northern course, late in August, late in the day, most likely thick rough, firm and fast greens, difficult greens to putt on because of the different quadrants. You have to drive it well. If you're not driving it in the fairway, you will be behind the 8 ball. I promise you. You have to drive the ball well, because that will lead to closer approaches, which will lead to better looks at birdie. So the bet, I would say, if you're in the top 10 in driving accuracy for the week, you're probably going to have a really good week in general.
I saw a incredible number. We talk about grass and how important grass is. Like you said, lag putting, you're probably going to find, for the most part, I believe the pin locations are going to be in those sectors where you are not going to be able to go out to putt with the green. So they'll roll slower, despite them actually being quote unquote fast greens with the way they're actually cut and designed. So that's going to be something that I'll find really important. Something that I thought was great from Data Golf, probably one of the best groups in the game. The top 5 hardest golf courses this year in terms of rough. This ranks 3rd, only behind Bay Hill and what we saw at the PGA Championship at Southern Hills. Super thick rough. It'll eat your ball up. It's almost comparable to what we saw at the Country Club for the U.S. Open. How the ball, like, you can literally hide a village of Ewoks in there. You wouldn't be able to find it. The ball, it'll get swallowed up. The driving accuracy will be so paramount. Also, very continuous of Robert Trent golf designs. You probably have played a few back on the island. Montauk Downs, Northern Hills. I actually played a Robert Trent course in Connecticut over at Lyman Orchards. The rough, like, granted, I've played Bethpage Black when it was like very when it wasn't in season, so that the rough wasn't as thick. It was comparable to what I've seen most guys play nowadays at Bethpage Black. The rough is incredibly thick. You need to get it on the fairway. If not, you're going to be swinging 3, 4, maybe 5 clubs up. There was a practice video of just a scratch golfer practicing, or someone actually who worked at NBC Golf or Golf.com. They were hitting driving irons out for about a 220 foot yard approach shot. Like if you're hitting a 2-iron out of the rough, it's going to be a really long day. And even guys like John Rahm were saying that this course is going to be so tough with the rough. You might be seeing guys, you might be seeing the cut line of like 3, 4, 5 over par. It might be one of the hardest golf courses this week, which is very different from what we saw last year, where again, the winning score was in the 27, 28 under range. Bomber's paradise, maybe, but accuracy is going to be by far the most important thing on this golf course. I want to take a look at what we had kind of previewed and teased a little bit in the back half. We have the guys who are going to be obviously in the heart of it, the guys that have been playing really well on top of the game. Before we get into those top guys that are going to be playing this week and then into next week, I want to take a look at some of the guys who didn't play very well this past week. Rory Mcilroy, Jordan Spieth, Scottie Scheffler, the 3 who kind of stand out the most, including Billy Horschel. All of them missed the cut at the Fed of St. Jude. Didn't really get a chance to make their mark at Southwind. Simply didn't play well for the most part. Got to go to Wilmington a little bit early. They've practiced today. They had an extra round on Sunday to practice. Should we be concerned about any of these guys going into this week that might even downward spiral them even more? Or do we think the cut might have actually helped them?
Okay. I have one guy who I am concerned about not performing well and moving further down the FedEx Cup, and it's Jordan Spieth. Look, I know he's probably a fan favorite everywhere he goes.
Absolutely.
But I have never been sold on his physical abilities to consistently compete at the highest level. And I know when he was much younger, when he won the Masters and when, his first Masters, I believe, when he played as a pro, he finished second, then he won. And then he had the debacle the next year on number 12, I believe. I've never been sold on his physical talent and his physical gifts. He doesn't jump out at you like a Rory McIlroy, or I know Dustin Johnson is on the PGA Tour anymore, but like a Dustin Johnson or a Bryson or a Brooks, right? Last week alone, he hit 53% of his fairways, 61% of his greens, and his strokes gained putting, he was negative 2.05. That is horrid. And he's already not one of the longer drivers on the tour. And now he's going to a longer course where you have to drive it well because the rough is going to be thick. And it's up north, which means the greens are going to be firmer, especially in the afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
I really believe it's going to be a long tournament. Actually, I forget what I just said. I think it's going to be a short tournament for him. I would not be surprised at all if he missed the cut. And I hate saying that about one of the best putters on the planet, because when he's on, he's on. But I really do not trust him this week at all. I really don't.
I think an even better number than his putting staff from this past weekend was his scrambling. He lost a stroke and a half scrambling this week. Like you said, yeah. And when you're only able to hit 61% of your greens, even in situations where he was putting off the fairway where he missed it short, he was missing the line. I don't know, 4, 5, 6 feet.
Mm-hmm.
He was breezing by the hole, and like Southwind was a challenging putter's course, as we saw for some. Even Scottie Scheffler lost, I think like 3 strokes putting. Then again, he's never really been very good in Memphis. Jordan Spieth, ever since the swing change and all these different things have been going on, he showed signs, but he's only ever showed signs of greatness or improvement in the Deep South.
Yep.
He was terrible at Travelers. He didn't play well at any event over the last even 3 years in the Northeast in general.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't play particularly well for the first 3 days at the U.S. Open. It was only until Sunday where he even had a sliver of hope when he gained, I think 2.5 strokes putting on those greens at the Country Club. But at that point, it was almost too far away, and he wasn't playing for anything at that point. He was playing for a couple extra dollars. so there's no like weight on his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
If this guy finds a way to make the cut, he very well might still finish 60th. Sorry, yeah, like 60th of the lunch. Sorry, there isn't even a cut line. Might finish 60th. Like it's. I don't think there's a lot of hope there for Jordan Spieth. Better luck next year. But if there's one guy who I'm actually a little more worried about, even than Jordan, it might actually be Scottie Scheffler after what I saw from his putting performance. I'm not. No, hold on. I'm not concerned in the sense that
You are
he'll be
such a hater.
No, I'm not a hater. I think he'll do totally fine in every other regard. You got to realize Scottie Scheffler, the only reason why he missed the cut was because of his putting. He was gaining strokes tee to green. He was actually playing a really solid game all around. His driving was one of the best. Was one of the best through 2 days than anybody else. It was just the putter who let him down. And the one thing that actually got him to all those wins this year was his putting. He's lost strokes in his last 3 events. Not a great like overall for 4 days. And it's largely come on the back end. This one just happened to bite him on the ass early on. He'll play fine. He'll probably finish top 30. I just don't know if he'll be able to put up the numbers enough to get him all the way up. It also might be one of those things where he's already so high up in the standings. He's currently second. Obviously, he'll fall down to third if he doesn't win. Might fall down to fourth with how the board plays out. Maybe he's just gearing up for East Lake and he's trying to just get his mechanics in order. And not to say it's like a throwaway week, but it might be a slight get right week with the putter. Everything else is working totally fine. It's just, will the putter let him down again? I don't really know. I'm not totally concerned. Again, a top 30 is a top 30, and points are points. Like Scottie Scheffler doesn't have to worry about winning every single event. He'll certainly be top 5, top 6 set for East Lake. And again, that 5-stroke deficit, 6-stroke deficit doesn't really mean much for a guy like him who has been consistently one of the best putters on tour this season. So as far as everyone else, I think Rory right now is like second, or actually might be the favorite to win. He plays really well in courses like in Maryland, obviously the Wells Fargo he's always really good at. And then in Wilmington, should be much of the same. He plays really well in the Northeast. He obviously won in Canada. He played really well at the Travelers. Very well could see a very strong performance from Rory. We're going to talk more about him, though, as we get later on. But let's look into those 5 guys that we're talking about. The guys who jump out at you, obviously, there's Scheffler, there's Cam, who'll be out this week, so we'll kind of exclude him from the conversation here. But Zalatoris being number 1. We'll go straight up from the FedEx Cup standings here. Zalatoris, Scheffler, Burns, Finau, and Schauffele, those top 5 guys, followed by Cantlay. An exceptional performance by Sepp Straka got him to the 8th spot. McIlroy and JT round out the top 10. Give me some guys that, as of right now, the clear-cut favorites right now, according to the sports books, and Vegas is never really wrong. Tony Finau is currently second to win the FedEx Cup. Rory McIlroy is first. Sam Burns is hovering around 4th. And then Scheffler and Cam Smith are neck and neck in that 2 spot. Who among them do you feel has the best shot right now to perform well this week, go into East Lake and dominate? And then some of those guys that are a little bit further back that might be on their tail that we're kind of underrating at this point. As we get closer to that 30-man mark, who's going to make it in, who's going to kind of fight their way through, and who should kind of breeze through this week, go into East Lake and hopefully have a dominant performance.
Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 guys that I think will play well this week. Well, how about this? I'm going to give you 2 guys who I think going into this week who are ranked highly, who are kind of under the microscope. Okay, my first pick, I'm going to spoil my beer money.
It's fine. It's okay.
Here. It's fine. We're late into the show. It's whatever. Scottie Scheffler. I know you don't like him this week at all, but I just want you to know he is 7th on tour. Hold on. He's 7th on tour in strokes gained tee to green. That's very important on a long golf course with thick rough. He's also 7th in strokes gained approach to the green on tour this year. Those 2 stats are what I highlighted basically in the course confidential. Is that what we called it? Yeah.
Yes,
I think those are incredibly important. Those 2 stats are incredibly important. And I know, I know you said he has not putted well, and I am not denying that at all. He has not putted well at all. But what did I say last week? Putting is physically the easiest thing to fix. That's a fact. If he can putt well this week, I have him winning. And number 2, it's obviously Rory McIlroy. And just some stats throughout there for you. I think this course is a perfect course for him. Strokes gained strokes gained off the tee this year, he's 5th. Strokes gained approach to the green, he's 14th. Strokes gained tee to green, 5th. Strokes gained putting, 11th. Strokes gained total, 2nd. He's due for a win. And I'm not saying he's going to win because I'm not saying he's going to win. But if he were to win, I would not be surprised. And I'll just throw someone who's under the radar. You did pick him last week for something. It's Calum Morikawa. I mean, he's just having such a good year, yet he's quietly doing it. It's so impressive. Just one stat to throw out for you guys. He's 3rd in strokes gained approach to the green. That's incredible.
And it's been that way the entire year. It's just the flat six sucked.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's due for a good week. He's definitely going to the Tour Championship. There's no question. I think he's 20th in FedEx Cup points. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he's like, he's top 25 for sure in FedEx Cup points. You only need to be top 30. I think he's also due for a good week. He's going to continue to move up as well. He's kind of like, kind of my under the radar kind of guy. So,
yeah, no, it's Collins. Like it's been so bipolar the whole year because it's either the approach play. I forgot when it was. It might have been Riviera. He was the number 1 approach player, but he lost like 5 strokes putting. Like he led in strokes gained approach, greens and reg, and opportunities gained. So the opportunity to make a birdie or better. But he finished like 40th and like finished over par because he had like more doubles than birdies on the entire weekend. It was freaky how bad he played despite being so good. It was like Sanjay Im last year. He led the PGA Tour in bogeys and birdies. Nothing worked for Colin Morikawa for all this time. And I finally said top 10 last week for Colin, and it was going to work because at some point something's got to give. And it finally gave out. He finished top 10. He got what he needed. And I got to be honest with you, I think it's going to be another really strong week for him. In terms of the guys at the top of the board, I'm going to wind up fading Will Zalatoris for the rest of the tournament solely because, like we had said earlier, you can't ball strike your way to a win. It'll certainly come very close. I mean, there's no doubt about it. When you have the buffer and he can at least play par golf, if you're already 10 under par, like you're going to be totally fine. But there are better guys down the board. Sam Burns kind of burned me last week. No pun intended there. I still think he's one of the best golfers on the planet. He just hasn't been able to get that like hot streak like Tony Finau has. Tony's obviously certainly in the hunt. I think he's probably the best in line right now to get a win. It's him and Rory, in my opinion, right now for the FedEx Cup. And that's with the news of Cameron Smith's injury. If Cameron Smith was going to play this week, I would very well put him in a top 3 conversation. But the fact that Rory's been, ever since the Live drama, has been the figurehead and the face, and he's always been talking about it, and he's been getting involved. He said going into Southwind, he was like, hadn't picked up a club in 2 weeks, wasn't really even on the diet for 2 weeks. Maybe that factored into his poor performance. He didn't really he kind of unwound. But this is a get right week, and this is going to be a week that he's dominated in the Northeast. He's dominated. Oh
no! Do not freeze.
To play in Maryland, he loves to play in Pennsylvania. Those 2 areas, even like Jersey, he manages to play his best golf when the most pressure's on. And this is really going to be it. A win here, we're getting to number 1. And the last time he won a FedEx Cup was quite some time ago. So it'd be nice for him to kind of get back on the grind and keep it rolling. But again, I think Tony Finau is just the guy to beat right now. Yet another top 10 performance. It's like, I don't know. I'm infatuated with the way Tony Finau plays golf. And for a guy who, again, is able to hit the ball so far with such a short stroke, this golf course is going to be perfect for him so long as he can keep it absolutely dead straight. One guy, though, that I'm going to actually dig further back, who's hovering right now around that 30 line, who I think can very well come out and play some really good golf. I was very impressed with the way Kevin Kisner played this past week. He isn't the longest hitter of the golf ball, but again, we always talk about how he's so good at finishing 20th. He's won on long golf courses before. This is no strangers to him. The key really is the accuracy, and the flat stick was working great for him. He's been just about good at everything the entire year. it'll only matter the most if he's able to get the ball close enough and if he can utilize those long irons to his advantage. We saw it when he was younger that he won on long golf courses. It's been a little bit since he's done it on a course like this in his late 30s, but I could very well see Kevin Kisner get at least a top 20, breeze his way into East Lake, and he very well might put up some numbers late on. Maybe not win with the aggregate, but it might be one of those guys to get a little extra prize money as the winner on the straight-up stroke play from in East Lake. He's someone that I'm looking at this week. Final break. We're going to come back. Beer money. It's going to be the biggest beer money probably to date. I have some super picks and a lot of money we could very well win. I had Colin top 10 last week. You obviously had some place hit. We had a great time last week. We're going to get right into it. And with beer money here from the underground, coming up next, over where. Part 3 here, the Get in the Whole podcast. Ben Pirro, Stephen McAvoy. It's time for some beer money brought to you by our good friends over at Kenwood Beer. Stop flexing on everybody. I freaking hate you. God. Beer money brought to you by our friends over at Kenwood Beer, Philadelphia's #1 light beer. Let's grab a Kenny, strap in. We're going to go super hard. Ben, we're starting off with you. Top 20 play at the BMW Championship. Who do you got?
Top 20, I'm going to go with Adam Scott. I don't think he's a very popular pick this week, but let me just look back at my notes. Hashtag Ben's book.
Look, we are making that a segment. Wait till next week.
That's right. That's good by me. Look, he did move up from – I did say he would play well last week, and he did move up from 77th to 45th. I know he's on the outside looking in, but he is carrying momentum. I'm not saying he's going to make the Tour Championship. That's not what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. He's carrying momentum. He had a good week last week. Top 20, I think that's very doable. I think that top 20 is in order for Adam Scott.
I have 3 top 20s this week. I'll take one as the guy, but I have 3 guys who I think all very well could place. It's between Lucas Glover, Trey Mullinax, and where's my number here? Mother of God. Where did you go? Jeez, I am totally off my rocker today. So it's between Trey Mullinax, Lucas Glover, and again, like I said, Kevin Kisner. I'm gonna take Mullinax though, and for the sole reason that it's a bomber's paradise. He's 25th right now in driving accuracy, but he's 10th in driving distance. The guys who I want this week are the guys who bomb it and hit it straight. For the most part, you can't have both, and there's only one guy who does. But at the same time, though, these guys hit it long enough that even if they find that primary cut, it's still a doable rough. The problem is that if you're Bryson DeChambeau and you spray it 40 yards in a Narnia, and you're hanging out with the Centaurs, then you got a real problem. Don't think it'll happen for Trey Mullinax. I'm pretty faithful. Also played really well last week, and he's just carrying the momentum. He won at the Barbasol. He played really well at the Open, and he's carrying it all the way through to Southwind. And I really like him here at plus 250 for a top 20. Give me your top 10 pick, Ben.
I think the top 10 pick is a no-brainer. I'm going to go with Jon Rahm. He's one of the most consistent golfers. He always on tour. He always shows up in the biggest moments. Top 10 is not a big ask for someone who is one of the best golfers on tour and shows up in the biggest tournaments of the year. Top 10 for Jon Rahm. Take it to the bank.
I love that. You know, my 10 through winner is I have a star-studded cast, and I'm going back to the well. I'm taking Collin Morikawa yet again for a top 10. He's going to push his way into the top 20 for East Lake. He'll gain some strokes, and I'm pretty confident that the putter will work once more, and he'll gain more strokes at East Lake. He won't win, but he'll certainly push his way towards the top. Again, something's got to give with Colin, and he doesn't necessarily hit it the longest, but he hits it the straightest, which is what matters to me the most. It's the same reason why I like Kisner for a top 20. Obviously, Colin's far younger and hits it 30 yards further, but Colin still hits the ball 320. Like with the carry, especially where it's a lot firmer, the fairways. Again, it hasn't really rained very much in the midsection of the country, in the Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware area. So they'll roll out, and it's quite hilly at Wilmington. I think Colin for a top 20, top 10 is a A no-brainer, back to the well, back-to-back weeks. I love Colin. Give me your top 5.
Okay, top 5 is going to be interesting, I think. I think you're going to find it's interesting. I'm going to go with
All
Will
right.
Zalatoris. My reason for this is because I believe the scores will be higher this week because of the length and difficulty of the course off the tee. I believe the winning score will be closer to par than what we've seen in the past. I'm not saying it's going to be like 3 under par winning the tournament. That's not what I'm saying. But, I wouldn't be surprised if, 8, 9, 10 under was the winner. With someone who struggles as much with the putter as Will Zalatoris does, anything that's closer to even par works to his advantage. So that's why I'm going top 5 for Will Zalatoris.
Big fan of the play there. Top 5 this week. I'm going to another guy who I've fallen in love with the entire last month and a half. I'm going to take Tony Finau. He hits the ball at a clip. I think the number is like 66% accuracy, which is pretty damn good. Like the tour average is like 50 something. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Mm-hmm.
So Tony hits it at a pretty damn good clip, and he also hits it super far. Again, the same idea with the bomber. The putter's been really good, and the approach game's been even better, which I think is going to matter even more. I think the number that I saw from I think it was Greg Descharme was this past week. Tony was further than usual in proximity to the hole, but his proximity to the hole following that birdie putt that would miss for par was only about 5 inches. He was hitting it right on the nose. The pace was perfect. It was just the line was a little bit off and a little wonky. I think if Tony can correct the little things, you very well might see a win. And again, this could be a back-to-back year where Tony get to win in the playoffs and pushes his way all the way to the top. Your gimme pick before we get to that winner. Who is hand over fist going to win you a ton of money?
Okay, my gimme pick. This is going to sound maybe a little bit ambitious. Rory Mcilroy, gimme pick, top 5. I think this course is actually made for him. He's not going to win. That's not what I'm saying. But length off the tee, he's fairly accurate. Historically, he's a very good ball striker. Let me just reiterate these stats for you. Strokes gained off the tee, 5th. Strokes gained approach to the green, 14th. Strokes gained tee to green, 5th. Strokes gained putting, 11th. Strokes gained total, 2nd. Those are his yearly numbers. And on a tough golf course like this, I really like him to finish top 5. He could take it to the bank.
I have Rory top 10 this week for my gimme. Again, for literally all the reasons why you mentioned it. And again, it's also that get right week. Even if Rory doesn't particularly play well to start, Rory's known for those backdoor top 10s. And it's just so apparent for him. Again, plays really well up here in the middle half of the country. He loves golf courses in Maryland, Delaware, the whole area. Almost every course is very similar, and you don't win at the Wells Fargo like 3 or 4 times for nothing. For a golf course as similar as the Wells Fargo, I think this is a home run. Top 10, plus 300, which at that point, give me the $300 for the $100 bet. I'll take it all the way home. It can go right in the 401k account. Your winning pick here at the BMW will go to Eastlake as the number 1 ranked player in the field, unless some ridiculous long shot happens to win. Who is going to head to Eastlake with the largest buffer lead in Atlanta?
I'm sticking by my man, Scottie Scheffler. I picked him last week. I'm picking him again. Look, I think maybe the missed cut was a good reality check for him, quite possibly. And look, strokes gained tee to green, he's 7th on tour. Strokes gained approach to the green, he's 7th on tour. It's a ball striker's course. He's a very good ball striker. Not the prettiest swing in the world, but he's a good ball striker. And that's what matters on a tough golf course like this up north.
Number 1 in the field this week on Robert Trent Golf Course Designs in accuracy, distance, ball striking, and not to mention this week specifically comes in with the longest drive over the last 4 weeks. This is Jon Rahm's week.
Ooh, that's a good pick.
Jon Rahm needs something. And I know deep down, I don't care how nice he is so bitter about losing to Patrick Cantlay last year. He wants this. Also, something I just found out. He had another kid recently.
Did he? Oh, good for him.
Yes. There's something about being he isn't a new dad, but there's something about being a father for Jon Rahm that kind of just like gets him going. I'm pretty sure his second son was born, I believe, literally on Tuesday. So, like, played well at Southwind, but the last time that has happened, he finished top 20 at the Masters, and then came back 2 months later to win the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. I think this might be a get a win for your second child. Go to East Lake and bring home some hardware for the wifey. This is Jon Rahm's week. He hits it super far. He hits it incredibly straight. He, again, the number one player in the field this week, next to Rory McIlroy in driving distance, and he's number one in the field in driving accuracy. It's a home run play for Jon Rahm just to get the putter right, which he worked out pretty well at Southwind. This is Jon Rahm's week. I'm feeling it. What are you throwing right now?
It's like a makeshift hole.
Adorable. Things that golfers just fiddle around with.
Things that pro golfers fiddle around with. These things, makeshift holes.
Actually, I found something. So in my new apartment, before we get rolling, yeah, go ahead.
Yardage books.
How many are there? Jesus. Don't count them all, please. I found something before we get going. So my apartment has has air vents like in the ground. So like not on the wall, but like on the floor.
Yes.
I found on Amazon for like $5. You can buy you can get a replacement for the ground grate, and it's an insert that gives you a golf hole.
I knew you were going to say that.
And it has vents through the bottom so that the air comes through. I'm like low key thinking about getting one, even though my floors are hardwood, so it wouldn't be like the most conducive. Because then I won't get a feel for if I had like carpet. But I think it's a pretty cool investment. It'll help in the winter at least. Like I'm in New York. It's gonna snow, so
you are a golf nerd. You're more of a golf nerd than I am.
All right, I don't listen to Zen music for like all day.
I listen to Zen music for 16 minutes and 50 seconds a day. What do you want from me?
Now, why so exact?
Because that's how long the hypnosis lasts.
So hypnosis lasts 16 minutes, 50 seconds.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I'll buy it. That's gonna do it. That's gonna do it all for us here. While I pick Ben's brain on his hypnotic state. Ben Pirro, Steve McAvoy. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's Ben's muscles. This is my brain,
which you don't have. Oh, kill him!
I really hope all my picks hit and I can shove it down your throat. I'd be so excited. We'll see you guys next week for the Tour Championship. Enjoy the round this week at Wilmington. Kind of odd to be in Delaware. It's kind of like the throwaway state. Delaware, though, the first state to be constitutioned in the U.S. It's literally the first state